We are looking at Diablo 4. It's developed and published by Blizzard Entertainment, and it's actually the fourth installment of the series. And let me tell you, I am having fun. There's a lot of things that I dislike about the game, but we're going to go over that later. If you don't know, Diablo 4 is a hack and slash open world kind of RPG game. Now, there's a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences between the older games and this new one. In the past, in Diablo 3 at least, you had to kind of you were on rails and you had to follow the storyline to unlock more places and things of that sort. This new one, you can actually go and wander and explore any part of the map. You just kind of have to watch out because in the beginning, as you progress, some areas will say, this is for 30 plus, or this is for, 25 plus, or this is for, blah, blah, blah plus. And it kind of scales with you as you go. So like once you hit that level, they're not gonna be like that beginning, where you started like 5 level isn't gonna be 5 level anymore. That's gonna match to your current level. So pretty much like if you want to fight lower monsters, you're gonna have to stay in the lower world tiers, and we'll go over that later. There are 5 classes right now, and they actually announced, I believe, the next one as well. There's Barbarian, Sorcerer, Necromancer, Rogue, Druid, and I believe the newest one is Vampire Knight, I think is what it is. Unless that's the rumor that I heard, but there's also like a rumor that there was gonna be Valkyrie, or I don't know. I'm stuck in between the rumors and reality right now. Like my brain's like now I did start with Necromancer, but I switched over to, Sorcerer because fire. I love fire. In this new installment, we get a new Dami Mommy. Her name is Lilith, and she is actually the daughter of Diablo, who was by summoned, respawned, brought back to Sanctuary by like an apprentice that just needed some more attention and love, and bad, bad guy. Anyways, you follow around her shadow around the world between 5 different regions, each with their own towns, teleports, dungeons, quests, things, etc. As you level up, you get more skill points, which you have a lovely skill tree. You kind of have to level to get to certain parts of the skill tree. So a lot of it is, testing out which kind of path you want to go, what makes your play style. You can refund those costs and pick a different route. And make sure you're just not unlocking everything because you only have a certain amount of points. Each character also has a enhancement. Necromancers have their Book of the Dead. Barbarians have like weapon expertise. Sorcerers have enchantments. And to be honest, I have no clue what the other 2 have because I don't know anything about those. So, don't judge me. Monsters, chests, and breakable objects will drop a range of things. You can get gold, health containers, mats, gears, weapons. You can also get catches from completing quests to where you just open them and they kind of like flutter around you. You gotta hurry up and pick them up, so that they're not scattered everywhere. You can also buy weapons, gears, and a couple other things from various things in the town. Mostly it's, things to equip to yourself. Some items will have aspects on them. There's rare aspects to where you can go to the cultists and get them extracted. And you kind of want to save those for like later because, they're rare aspects. You're only going to get them on like items. While other aspects can actually be added to your items by completing dungeons. And once the dungeon's done, you always have that aspect between your various actual characters to put them on weapons and things too. So it's good to complete all the dungeons. In towns, like I said, you can find a variety of different shops where you can buy, sell items, repair items, like the blacksmith. You can go upgrade your gear, you can repair your gear, you can break down ones for mats, like if you don't want to keep something. The healer is where you can go to not only heal your character, but it's going to replenish your potions as well. You can also go over to the potion shop to where you can make various incense, elixirs, and you can actually upgrade your health potions to heal you more depending on what level you are. So, like, once you reach a certain level, it's like, oh, now you can get the new potion. You can go over to the jeweler to buy things, but also, I can't remember what the person by the jeweler is called. Maybe it's just another jeweler. But you can go there and add sockets to some of your things. You can remove the gems. You can upgrade your jewelry. And I think there's something else you can do there. I can't remember. You can go over to the horse stable and you can purchase a horse. There's a couple horses you can buy for money. There's also a couple like saddles and things like that. Saddles will actually drop randomly throughout the world. Like I've gotten them from world bosses before. I've gotten them from like a random box that I opened. Um, you can also get them in the shop too. The wardrobe is usually always next to the chest, and the wardrobe you can change your appearance. So when you go to the blacksmith and you dismantle things, you actually can dismantle new appearances, which are called transmods. And you can go to the wardrobe, and you can change each piece of your armor to look different to how you want it. You can like keep that static outfit for any gear that you have. You can change the color and you kind of like experiment. There's different slots too, so I have like I don't know like 5 or 6 different outfits saved depending on what I feel like wearing that day. Speaking of the storage box, you can actually buy more spaces in it. And it's to keep things that you might want to, maybe start a new character for. Or like if you're playing hardcore, you're going to want to keep like a set of gear for, your continued levels so you don't have to essentially start over all the time. I like storing all my gems there. Like I have an entire box of gems. It's ridiculous. Eventually I'm going to run out of space or just buy another, box for it. Now I mentioned this earlier, the occultist, you can go and change your aspect on your weapon, add one. Um, you can dismantle an item that has an aspect on it to save it for later. You can there's something else you can do there. I think that's also where you can make things to go to nightmare or ancestral dungeon things too. Speaking of nightmare dungeons, now gifts once you hit Paragon, which is a whole nother kind of like skill tree, you get Paragon points and you can progress towards these glyph nodes, which pretty much you can equip um and it affects like it could affect the area, like depending on what other nodes that you unlock. And the nightmare dungeons at the end, you actually have the choice of upgrading these. So that's a cool thing. I definitely like that, but it's a little grindy for sure. Now, also in the town, there is in the very main town. So it's like the first major town that you go to, you're able to change your world tier. Now, there's 4 tiers. With the first tier, it's your most basic. The second tier, you can actually start off at the second tier instead of the first tier if you really wanted to. It gives you increased gold, increased experience, and then once you get to a certain point, you're gonna have to fight a capstone dungeon to unlock the next world tier, to where you'll start getting sacred items, which are pretty much just like more powerful items. And then the very last tier, of course, everything's even more harder, and then you get ancestral items, which are, even better than the sacred item. Now, there are a lot of world events, which is super cool. You have world bosses, you have Gathering of the Legions, you have Helltide. Now, world bosses and Gathering of the Legions, pretty much you and various players are going to go to these events. World bosses, it's just a world boss. You guys fight it together. Now, Gathering Legions is kind of like a wave thing to where you have to fight so many monsters in a certain amount of time, defeat the little, you know, mini boss. And if you fight all three mini bosses and the main boss, you get more chests than if you were to fight one. I've actually gone to a few that have completely failed. And what I really find is everybody follows each other. When if everyone would just split out in two different groups and like take the wave from two different sides, it would go so much faster. But everybody's like, oh, follow the leader. And it's just like, oh my goodness, guys, stop. Now, Helltide is pretty much part of the map turns red, and Helltide only happens in tier 3 or higher. And what you do is you go there and you fight, and as you fight, the monsters drop, a currency. You collect that currency, and there's various different chests hidden around the map. The chests you can see on the map, except for the chest of mysteries, and I think that's like the main one that everybody wants to go to because it could be anything. It could, even be a boat. Now, these chests, you obviously have to use the currency to open them. I believe that they're going to up the chest of mysteries. Like it was once 175, and I think that they upped it to like 225 or something like that. Apparently, they only wanted you to get just that one, because sometimes it does take you a while to get like these currencies. You need to search out like the events. There's sometimes random essentially bosses roaming around. They give you a lot of those things, and you have to watch out. There's various like weird corpse things and things that you can like harvest to your normal breakable objects. If they're shiny red, they're gonna drop those currency that you need. I don't know how to pronounce it. They're like aber arbin. It starts with a name. Don't judge. Now, kind of similar to the Helltide and the currency, there's a couple PvP designated areas. Now, you can go into that area and not be forced into PvP. Essentially, what will happen is you can turn PvP on and then you can fight, or you can just not turn it on and you can wander around to try to get this currency. And essentially, you do the same thing in Helltide. You wander around, you fight things, you get currency. Obviously, if you have PvP on, you can attack other players to also get that currency, or you can just stay in PvE mode. Now, once you get your currency, you have to stay in that area. And you have to go to these special like little nodes, and what it's essentially going to do, it's going to start a countdown. You fight things, and once it's over, you turn your currency into essentially hard currency that won't go away. In the town, there's various things that you can buy. The most prominent thing is new stuff for horses. And there's a lot of things that you can get for your horses. Now, I really liked playing this game despite all the glitches, and I have a list, and I'm going to read it to you guys. Now I am playing on the Xbox One. I am broke, I am poor, I don't have the new system. And one of the main things was the PC version did not have couch play. It is just one single person can play on the PC and that's it. So I opted to get it on the Xbox because I wanted the couch play. And once you get it on the Xbox, there's Xbox share and you can do between two different Xboxes. So instead of buying one copy and only me playing, four of us play. So it made sense to me. Now, because we play on the Xbox Ones, I don't know if it's a performance issue, but I find a lot of lag. There's lag when leaving towns. There's lag when going into world boss areas, gathering legion areas, anything that there's a high amount of people, I get heavy lag, and it's not like I have bad internet. Now another thing that was so incredibly annoying. So I pre-ordered it. So I got it the 4 days early, and it drove me absolutely insane. I have an Elite controller and I'm playing, and it's like, your controller is disconnected. I'm like, oh my goodness, my batteries died. Put in fresh, brand new batteries. Your controller's been disconnected. Your controller's been disconnected. And it happened so much that I got so mad. I was so mad. I threw my controller down. I was like, I can't even play the game on the first day it came out, and I went to bed. So the next day, um, I was playing it. I'm like, maybe, it was something weird. The entire, early days, it did that constantly to where I had to plug in the controller. And when the game actually released, I was so scared to play the game without the controller plugged in. I didn't unplug the controller until like recently to use it like it's normally intended, wireless. I was so scared. This game gave me PTSD from freaking thinking my controller was just gonna not be connected anymore. I'm so glad that I don't play on hardcore because that would have sucked so bad. Um Now another thing is there's a problem with co-op. So when we were going through the main like storyline and stuff like that, say I was done playing, and I would leave the game and my partner was still playing himself and he's like continuing, trying to do Helltide, trying to continue a quest. It would not keep any of his progress. He would not be collecting any of the currency in Helltide. He would have to restart the quest and things like that. So that was like a huge like what the heck is going on? Um there's a huge problem with horses. That's another thing. Whenever I get on a horse, it feels like my horse is like galloping in mud, like it's stuck. It does not move. Um and what we kind of figured out how to mitigate this is if it starts doing that when you first hop into your horse, go in a big, not like a small circle, but a wider circle, and it will fix it. And if it doesn't fix it, go the other way and then go. And then your horse is good. Because a lot of times you hop on your horse to get away from mobs because you're like, I don't feel like fighting this stuff. And it's like, horse, move! Horse, why are you not moving? And it was like, oh my goodness, it was crazy. Um, Another thing is in some of the dungeons, there's always like this room that locks you in it with like the pedestals and things. Nothing drops from those monsters ever. And it's like you fight so many monsters in that little area to not get anything. And it's like, really? I just fought all these things, including like a couple elites, and they dropped nothing whatsoever. So that's always annoying. And of course, with any MMO type game, you're gonna have other players drag mobs and things to you. I've noticed that some mobs will like aggro to you forever. Like they'll chase you across the map, while other ones will just kind of like follow you for like a little bit and then they're like, okay, we're tired. We're gonna go back. It's like really weird. It's really random. Um Now, one of the things I do love is now if somebody's fighting like a bunch of mobs around you and things like that, you can just go over to like where they are and just kind of like pick up everything because everybody has their own, unique drops. It's not going to be like, oh, so and so is going to steal my loot that just dropped, so it's like, all right, I'm going to go follow these people in Helltide because whatever they're fighting is going to drop stuff. So I'm going to kind of stay in the vicinity. So I'm going to fight my stuff and then go over and pick up all the stuff that they fought. I mean, it works, right? Now, I do have to say this game is funner playing it with friends. Not only do you get more experience because you're in a party, but if you're like me, even if your friend isn't there to play with you, you kind of just log them in on the other controller because you're a squishy sorcerer and they're a barb, so you kind of use their character as bait. Now, this is the ending part where I want to thank everybody that made it to this point. You deserve a head pat. So, here's some head pats. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. If you have not hit that subscribe button, can you push that button? And the best part of it, it's free and well, you can see more of my face and my really bad lame jokes, which are actually pretty awesome if I do say so myself. Now, don't forget to check out my other socials and other videos, live streams. You can check the About Me section to see when those are. You can join the Discord. There's tons of other things that I do. And don't forget to like this video and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of the game. Tell me if you think you're checking it out, what your favorite class is, and how you're building it. I build a pyro sorcerer, and you know what? I don't see very many people doing that. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.